Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another model kit review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Bandai Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Freedom High Grade Cosmic Era 1/44 scale Immortal Justice Gundam. Very excited to be reviewing this finally. I've been a little late to the build and review of this because I was pretty backlogged with the Rising Freedom review. If you saw that review, you knew I'd be pretty busy with work and personal stuff going on, but I have some time to take a look at this kit here. I do want to go ahead and tell you guys that this is a really nice kit, and in some ways, I think I might like it a little bit more than Rising Freedom, but there's some things that Rising Freedom does a little bit better than this kit here as well. We'll get there a little bit later in the review, but I do also want to mention that I got this from a local hobby store, HobbyTown USA. I believe it should be hopefully in stock, if not still for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store, but it's probably in stock on places like USA Gundam as well as Newtype, places that specialize in these model kits. And I believe the movie's coming out soon in the States. I think the end of March. I'm not entirely sure if you were interested. Anyway, you've been looking at the box here for a while. A really nice artwork, very similar to what they did with Rising Freedom. You can see Immortal Justice here, as well as the MA form on the box. This say Bandai Namco, ages 8 and up, as well as the Bandai logo on the bottom right. HD Cosmic Era, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Freedom logo. You also have Immortal Justice Gundam, and then HD 144. Now on this side, which it's going to be like this on the opposite side, I just don't really want to show it because of that really big price sticker that's a little bit ugly. But you can see this image of the Immortal Justice right there, as well as HD Cosmic Era, the Seed Freedom logo again, 244 here. We also have the name Immortal Justice Gundam, once again, the Bandai logo, as well as Gundam.info. Now on this side here, it talks about the Seed action system, so it shows off some different points of articulation, as well as different, stuff that comes with this, different features. And then you can see it turned into the MA form right there. On this side, it's just, Immortal Justice in a standing neutral pose, as well as a bit of a read-up of the Seed Freedom story going on. Gunpla logo, as well as a warning choking hazard, as well as a barcode there in case you need it. Now, I do want to talk quickly about what's inside this box once before the actual build. So, when you open up the box, just like what you get with a lot of these model kits, you'll have these runners in the plastic bags. There are 11 runners in total, and there are 2 very small ones. That's for part separation. I believe there's 2 pieces on the light gray ones, and then there's just 1 for the light blue. So it's good that they, at least made the effort to part separate that and not use stickers or anything. I think that would have been a nightmare. I believe, again, so I looked online. I believe most Gundam model kits are made out of polystyrene, and I believe sometimes they'll use ABS plastic. So if you're wanting to paint this up, but, you're being weary of whatever solvents might do harm to polystyrene, just keep that in mind. There's also 12 different stickers, and we'll talk about that sticker sheet in a second more in depth, but we also get the instructions at the bottom of the box as well. Now back to the stickers, actually, just again to elaborate, there are 12 stickers in total, much less than like almost like 30 to 40 stickers, I want to say, when it came to Rising Freedom, and that is a big plus if you ask me. I don't believe there are any stickers. I got to double check. No stickers on the backpack this time around because it's not as complex as, Rising Freedoms. It's mostly for some of the accessories as well as parts on the head. Now, doing a 360 of this model kit right here, I really do like this. I love the look of this. And again, in some ways, I like this a little bit more than Rising Freedom. However, I have some particular breakage here, which, again, some of it, I guess a decent amount of that is my blame, but I do want to elaborate what happened when it came to that I think people might be having a problem with if they're not careful enough. So we'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, including the backpack system. Then we'll take a closer look at the model kit. Okay, so what happened with the breakage was I was like grabbing it around here with my thumb and trying to buff something out, and my thumb must have slipped, and then this broke off here. So now you see that's broken. I've tried to glue these pieces together. Then when you slot things in, though, the friction will be so tough that it will just come undone even with whatever amount of glue you have. So that's pretty much ruined. Like, that's about to break off too. I'll show off an image in a second of the MA form that I was actually able to get, but you can see, I mean, like, I'm gonna have to glue this, So, I mean, Yeah, it is my fault I broke it, but it was just like the buff mark was so close to the thumb when I slipped that I just like, I don't know. Also, keep your receipts for at least 90 days if you're buying these from brick and mortar stores, because Bandai will not throw me a bone and send me a replacement part. I have literally everything I need to send them for my replacement part, except the receipt I bought this with. So let me be the lesson to you. So yeah, I'm disappointed by that. The overall like gate marks are a problem with me, and we'll talk about that more in the talk about that with the actual Gundam in a second. But I still had more fun building this actual backpack than the Rising Freedom because it's not that complicated, and that's not really fair to say because it's a complicated design for the Rising Freedom. But just in general, this was much easier and quicker for me to get through. I think it does look pretty cool. In some ways, it does look a little plain just because you have two wings here, but that's just how the design is supposed to be. And we do have some articulation. Again, friction on this thing is a little bit tough, so some things are probably going to move when I don't want them to. But this swivels here. This is kind of loose up here. But you can also, and these things like to pop out. I don't usually glue my kits. I recommend gluing these because they just won't stop popping out. But we'll pop that out for now because I know it's just going to keep being a nightmare. This can hinge forward, and then you can also swivel it around here. And then swivel it here at the base, so there's different swiveling going on. And then you also have swiveling right here, and then again this hinges, but and then swiveling up here. Now I actually have footage of what it looks like in the MA form. So as you see here, the idea is actually that you're supposed to pop the bottom part of that like front, plain piece off, and then you slip it over the head because there's a lot of stuff going on with the head. That giant, basically unicorn looking thing sticking out. And then pop that back on, and it also tabs into the chest, and you can see just how that looks when you have it all built into there. And I do want to mention the actual detailing really quick. I think it actually looks pretty good in a lot of things. I mean, the vents here, they look really cool. The separation here is really nice. Again, some of the buffing is not great, or I should say gate marks. I got them as best as I could without stressing any plastic. I learned my lesson from, or I guess I didn't, but I thought I learned my lesson from Rising Freedom there. Separation of plastic right here with the white. So there was no stickers on this at all. That was my problem with Rising Freedom's backpack, was it needed a lot of stickers. There's nothing going on here. This is a really loose piece for some reason. Like, it doesn't want to go in all. You can see it's like not in all the way compared to this. I'll have to check that a little later. But I know things are broken. I'm a little disappointed by it. I did forget that these pieces, they're a little bit difficult to grab by the thumb, but these do stick out for the MA form right there. I can't get this one for some reason. They like to stick, but you can pop those out. I still think this is a really nice backpack. We went over pretty much, so that was a lot of stuff. So let's keep going. I'll make these last parts a little bit more quick. We have the shield here, and it does flip out like this. As you can see, it's similar kind of to how they did it with the, I don't know if I'm doing it exactly right, like right here. I actually don't know. I think I'd have to do it upside down. But you can, get things together like in, Rising Freedom's MA form. You do have this, you have this attachment right here where it will plug into the side of the arm right there, as you see in that image. It's very similar to how they did it with Rising Freedom. Separation, again, color separation is really nice on this. And you can see some really nice detailing like right here. These are like one of the only few stickers that you're really using, and they're actually really easy to apply onto here. And then popping these out, I mean, you can see the underneath here. I kind of wish this was maybe had a little bit of color separation. I think this should be gray on the bottom. I could be wrong, but these can be really easy to pop out because you have this piece sticking out like so. Pretty nice there. Now, one thing that's a bit complicated is these daggers. So the dagger is a really cool, type of weapon that they have here. The idea is, one, you just, and slot it in with the,
kind of these white handle pieces sticking forward when you're putting it into the side skirts. But the idea is also you take this part off and move this down here, and then you insert this beam effect right here. You can see, it's for the dagger. This light red, pinkish type of deal going on here. And then you just, fit the grooves in when you need to. And I already have one built right here. So this is what these beam daggers look like. And honestly, it's a pretty nice idea. They stay in pretty easily. And I thought I was going to have more trouble with this falling out, but honestly, it doesn't fall out too much unless you really push down on it, like that. So that's pretty sick. Next up, we have these type of, there's like, I forget, I don't know exactly what it is actually. But on the shins, it's like a beam effect going on there. Now, I believe the idea is you'll put these more slanted angle ones up here. Put these, you bend the foot a little bit like here. And then there you go. You get that cool beam effect kick action. This is falling out for some reason. Going on there. And they are different. I don't have it with me right now. But these are different from like Infinite Justice. That one came with similar ones as well. And you can see some of the detailing going on there. We are still getting through it, aren't we? Forgot to mention there's also this beam effect piece that goes up here. Very similar to Rising Freedoms as well. And then we have the rifle here, which is also similar to Rising Freedom. I can only assume that's using parts from it. This time around, a lot of red going on here. Placing the stickers on here is honestly not awful. The trickiest one was this little, circular piece going on around the sight right there. But if you have like a thin enough piece of paper to push some of that into there, it should work. You can kind of see a little bit of white separating there, but I'm not going to push this up any more than I would like to, because I think that this part with the blue is going to pop off. Then you line these parts here on the red there, and it's really not as bad as I thought it would be. Same thing with Rising Freedom. I thought that these were going to be kind of a nightmare on this rifle, but it's not bad at all. This part here does hinge a little bit, and I tried to get all these buff marks out as best as I could. Seems like it just didn't want to get out, but like the detailing on this is really cool. You can see the barrel right there. Yeah, I really dig how a lot of that looks. Last but not least, I did want to show, I'm not going to be able to show it like super duper well, but this is the adapter piece for Rising Freedom. And this is, Immortal Justice. And this is different because this allows for the little, it allows for that to be slotted into there since that sticks out. And just to show you a difference, this does kind of look similar, but it is different from Rising Freedoms on the right. So a lot of accessories. I spent a little too much time talking about the backpack just because of the problems I had. Now, right off the bat, this is a really nice looking kit. I think they did a great job with the overall sculpting of everything, as well as just the construction itself is really good. I do want to take a quick comparison with Rising Freedom to give... it's not really that big of a complaint, but I guess my biggest issue with this particular kit here, when I cleaned up this kit with the markings, I really can't tell where everything is anymore. Maybe like a little bit right here in some areas of the blue. I think maybe in like still some of the gray on the joints might have a little bit of that, I'm a bit of a stickler on the marking. If I can clean up the markings as best as possible, then yeah, I'm going to do that. Sometimes it can't be helped, especially, some of the older kits, the way that they have the gating on there could be not great, and sometimes they're fine on the older kits. What I'm getting at is that the gating and some of the markers, or markings here, I should say, is not as good as Rising Freedom. Like, you could definitely see, it's not the end of the world, but you can see some, going up on the top here. The thighs was actually the biggest part. And the reason why I didn't notice the thighs this time is because what I did here, like, this was straight up white. Like, I could not buff this out to save my life without, any, potential damage to the plastic. A little bit right here too. What I did was, and I don't know what's in this pen, but I think it's safe enough, honestly, just for what I'm doing. I have this felt section of this Papermate red marker. I would just take a little bit of a dab off the white here and go in here. I mean, you could still see a nub in there, but at least it's not completely white, So yeah, some of the marking on here is not great. I don't know what I did here, but I think that was totally me with the buffer right there. You can't really see it till it hits the light. But again, that might be my biggest complaint. It's just some of the gate marks are not particularly the best this time around. And some of you are thinking, you know, it's a model kit, it's going to have those. Yeah, I totally understand. And again, it's not a deal breaker at all for me. But like you have stuff with like the Witch of Mercury line where a lot of the gate marks are buffed out really nice because of the quality of the plastic here or whatever. I mean, it's a still similar material to what we usually get. It's just, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more solid this time around on these witch kits. Whereas this, it kind of, I mean, the plastic feels like what I'm normally used to. And it's not a big deal. It's just something I wanted to mention that was a personal preference. Now, with the actual look, it's so nice. Look at that. I mean, that sticker in there, honestly, it fits in there a lot easier than I thought it would. I think it might be a little bit lifted, so I might have to fix that if it really bothers me. But it looks fine. And then you have the sticker on the head camera here, and then a little bit on the back there, which was actually not that hard to get in there that I thought it would be. All these pieces coming together look really great. Similar to the Rising Freedom, we do have a little bit like this like plating going on here where the red goes into the gray and the white. All that is great. We look at the front of the kit here, and you have that one light blue piece that they needed just for one runner. And then you do have the venting right there. All of that looks really cool in the chest there, with like the contrast of the white plastic with this like purplish, almost like blackish type of color going on in there. These pieces actually, they can be pulled out easily, but they stay in fine. Like they're not gonna fall out at all. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, like I don't really know if I'm using this term right, but like the overplating of some of these things going on here, like the purple onto the red, really nice looking. It looks a little bit plain without the backpack. I'll pop it on towards the end in a little bit. Yeah, these shoulder pads look really cool. You have a little bit of some armor going on right here, and then you do have, again, a little bit. A lot of the joints on these are going to have markings no matter what, even if you clean them up. So I'm usually used to that with Gunpla here. But separate elbow piece that is locked in actually really nicely. I did not have to glue anything. You really don't have to glue anything, but I did glue one thing, and I'll talk about that in a second. The white here, I don't remember what my issue was initially. So it must have not been that big of an issue to where I don't have really an issue with it. I think popping it on, like either doing the white first and then the red or vice versa, was a little bit confusing because things wouldn't line up at first, but you can see it's all in there now. Do we have a separate piece for articulation? No, this thing is just popping out. So you do have these like arm guard type of things going on here. The hands are nice. We don't have an extra set of hands or an extra like sprawled out hand like we got with Rising Freedom, unfortunately. Yeah, I really dig, again, I think the torso is probably my favorite looking part of the actual Gundam here. It's really cool. And that, that long horn you have on the head is really sick too. Now we get down, excuse me. Side skirts are, not too bad here. They don't get in the way as much as the railguns. The railguns on the Rising Freedom aren't bad at all, honestly. I do want to mention, sometimes in the Rising Freedom review, I mentioned these like separate splits of these front skirts. Sometimes they'd be a little too loose. Like they could still keep pose here, but also sometimes they seem a little too loose. These are really solid. They are like equally solid. Like none is more loose than the other. I'm really impressed with how they did that. And you have this back piece here that is going to get in the way of back leg articulation, unfortunately. And one thing I did need to glue, and I was a little sus just now, but the crotch piece here. That's the only way I could put it, just straight up. This kept falling off all the time to where I did eventually the tiniest bit of super glue in here, and it stays in just fine. I don't usually recommend doing glue. You don't need glue for these kits usually, but it was just such a bother that I decided to finally glue it in. Again, not that much going on here. And I will admit to you guys, I did not consider the MA form adapter piece when gluing that in. So if the whole point was you were supposed to take the crotch piece off before putting this on, then I would have ruined it. But thankfully, the idea is that this is supposed to be on when the MA attachment is going on there. So I'm kind of glad that lucked out there. So honestly, just go ahead and if you're that inclined, again, the tiniest bit of super glue around here, and that'll work fine. Everything else, like the yellow up there, all these, you know, skirting pieces right here, the skirts look really nice. You can see the inside there. And then we get to the legs. Are they the exact same as Rising Freedoms, which I have to push stuff around? They are, I believe. So there are some minor parts that are being reused from Rising Freedom. I want to say the joints in the elbows, I think, and then maybe like the hips. I think that's about it, which I don't really blame them at all if they do that. So, because you're not really going to notice them too much. Side pieces, they look really nice. There's a little bit of like a point going on a little bit in some areas. But again, the buffing here is not great. And you could say it kind of on me, but I mean, the gate marks were there, so I had to work with what I had when I wanted to get the buff marks out. Knees looking pretty decent. A little bit of, you know, marking there, but it gets covered when you're not bending it all the way. And then the kind of like with the rest of this, contrast up this dark purple and the white and red looks really nice. You have these back vents here, and I haven't panel lined this again. I don't usually do that during the detail section because I want to show you guys what it looks like right when it's built, I should say. Yeah, all that looking really nice. I'm sorry if I'm not being too descriptive because I don't know every single little working of a Gundam, unfortunately. But like, I guess what would be these vents look really nice. And this has to be here because of the gimmick with those, like, you know, shin pieces. But, you know, I think they're supposed to look like this. I think they're actually supposed to be a little bit darker in the anime. So like this would be darkened out, and this would be, I mean, it's already darkened down there. But I mean, they look fine. And you have these, you know, ankle pieces that kind of pop off a little too much. And then you have the feet. Not the exact same. I don't think they're the same. Yeah, they're not the same. But very similar approach to Rising Freedoms. Right there. They do have detail on the bottom there. Alright, articulation section that I say I'm going to try to make quick, and I never usually do. Head can go up like that, and we do have a pivot in the body here. So it can go down like that, and you still get that ball joint going on here. It gets a little bit, you know, hindered because of this front piece here. I'm having trouble doing the side to side. I think it's a little bit stiff here, but you can make that work, and then rotation is not too much of a problem. We do have forward moving motion here. They've done away with the polycaps on this. I don't know when the last time they've done polycaps on these recent kits, actually. Swivels all the way around here. It's in a ball joint again, so it can go up and down. And then this arm can go up here as well. Lots of great range of motion here. And then swiveling here, you get a double jointed elbow like that. Actually, really nice. Ball jointed hand, swiveling here, and then, you know, it goes all the way around to ball joint at the hand. The back motion, we do have some nice articulation implemented, but it's a little hindered because of just some back pieces. So back motion can't move that well. Forward motion actually is not too bad, but I think some things are kind of popping out in place here. Like if I keep pushing here, I think it's actually holding up pretty well. There's a little bit of clicking going on here. I might have to fix up later though. Then we do have a ball joint here, swiveling, you know, all the way around. These do want to pop off a decent amount, so ignore this for now. We'll look at this side skirt. It's a pretty small side skirt. This one seems a little bit tighter than the other one. I lied. It popped out as well. But they have implemented it. You can go up and down there. It's on a ball joint. You have these side skirts that can, you know, move a little bit. They can pivot a little bit like this, but move mostly forward. And let's get this thing out of here. Legs go out, and then they can go out like this. Now you do have a drop-down system similar to Rising Freedoms, and then you do have a thigh swivel here. Double jointed knee right here if I'm having a little bit of trouble doing. Yeah, there we go. This little piece likes to move on a ball joint, but you can go down, and then up is kind of hindered because of this. But you can do a pivot. There's like an actual pivot, and then there's a ball joint in there, so it allows for a lot of range of motion going on and swiveling here. And then these move down for the MA form. I meant to do this in the accessory portion, but I forgot. But this is just a really quick look at what each backpack looks like on the opposite Gundam. So Rising Freedoms is on Immortal Justice and vice versa. They both fit on each other very well, and they both are compatible. Measuring out the figure really quick, we're looking at around 13.5 to 14.5 centimeters, depending if you want to look at the top of the head or the actual top of the horn. That's going to be at around 5 to 5.5 inches.
I think it might be the shortest out of these 3 Gundams, but not by much. I think Rising Freedom's a little bit taller. I think Infinite Justice is also a little bit taller. If you look on the far left, we have a Black Series Mando that came out this year. Far right, standard size Marvel Legends figure. They're both going to be taller. Overall, I really am liking this kit. I dig it a lot. It seemed like I was disappointed. It was mostly because of the breakage. You know, I did break it, so it is my fault, but I just wish that could have been avoided because I was trying to buff something out. That's one of my biggest issues is the buff marks on this particular kit aren't great. But even with that issue, and then some loose parts like the crotch piece, you'll want to put a little bit of super glue around there. And then maybe those like dark purple burner pieces on the backpack, maybe glue those. Other than those issues, I really do like this kit. The backpack is really nice and not very complex compared to Rising Freedoms, which is not fair because that is a complex design, so I'm not going to knock that too much. But I just had a little bit more fun building this one around compared to Rising Freedom because I was pretty frustrated with Rising Freedom's backpack build, at least. Both model kits, actual Gundam builds, are very solid and very fun to do. The detailing on this one here is really great. The part separation is also really awesome. The amount of accessories, besides, you know, skimping out on hands, which the high grade line kind of tends to do, I do really like pretty much all of these accessories. They're really well done. The articulation and detailing, again, is really great on this kit. I am pretty sorry to you guys for, you know, being late on these reviews. I've just been really busy. And not just late to the model kit reviews I want to do, but actual action figures I've been backlogged on. So I'm going to try to get through those pretty soon. Until then, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the model kit, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I will see you guys later.